So the topic for this presentation is mitochondria, something I'm sure most of us haven't thought about since biology class. But actually mitochondria have a pretty key position in the way that holistic practitioners view health, especially chronic health. So what are mitochondria? They're the organelles, and they're inside our cells. They're surrounded by their own little membrane. And they are actually what generates and stores all the chemical energy that's required for all of our cells to function. So that in itself is pretty important, because if you think about that, if our cells don't have any energy, they can't do what they're supposed to do. And that's going to have pretty far-reaching effects. Different types of cells also have different energy needs, so they'll have different amounts of mitochondria. So the heart, for example, produces a lot of energy, so it would need a lot more mitochondria than, say, your skin cells. And because, as we said, our cells require energy to function properly, in holistic medicine we actually consider a mitochondrial dysfunction to be a potential root cause, or at least a contributing factor, for all chronic disease. So what harms our mitochondrial function? Well, certain pharmaceutical medications like antibiotics, PPIs, and barbiturates, heavy metals, environmental toxins like insecticides, carbon monoxide, smoking, EMFs like from your phone and electronics, certain vitamin and mineral deficiencies, especially the B vitamins, and imbalance in macronutrients. So following a low protein or a low fat diet, or calorie cutting below the level of calories that you need for your basic metabolism can all harm your mitochondria function. Viral infections will suppress mitochondria. Trans fats. Chronic stress, that can be mental, emotional, or physical, including unresolved trauma. Decreased oxygen, poor gut health, too much or too little physical activity. If we have mitochondrial dysfunction, then that's going to lead to increased inflammation and excess free radicals, or oxidative stress. And that also contributes heavily to chronic disease. So in order to support our mitochondria, one of the most essential things we can do is eat a diet that includes all the nutrients that our mitochondria need. And that starts with the B vitamins. B vitamins are very important because they act as coenzymes for a lot of our cellular processes. So we need a good supply of those B vitamins available. If they're not available, then our cells, again, can't function the way they're supposed to. A lot of the B vitamins you can get from animal sources. You've got tuna, cod, calf's liver, yogurt, eggs, milk, chicken, venison, shrimp, scallops, lots of different animal sources there. You can also get B vitamins from plant sources, except for B12. So you can get B vitamins from romaine lettuce, asparagus mushrooms, your leafy greens, your cruciferous vegetables, watermelon, bell peppers, lots of different foods there that can provide good B vitamins. Again, B12, you're typically only going to get from animal foods. So this is one thing that if you're following a vegan or even a vegetarian diet that's not high in animal sourced foods, you want to make sure that you're getting B12 somehow in a supplement, because your mitochondria need B12. We also need antioxidants. Vitamin A, you're going to find that in some of your red meats like shrimp, salmon, and beef, and most of your yellow, orange, and red colored plant foods. Vitamin C you can get from a lot of different fruits and vegetables. CoQ10 from fish or calf's liver. The only plant source for that is the germ portion of whole grains. So if you're eating refined grains only, you're not ever getting that germ portion with the CoQ2 in it. Vitamin E is another important antioxidant. You can get that from sunflower seeds, Swiss chard, almonds, and spinach. Glutathione is the key antioxidant we need for detoxification for both phase 1 and phase 2. So you can get that from salmon, eggs, calf liver. Then you can also get it from garlic, onions, cruciferous vegetables, some more of those leafy greens. And lipoic acid, also from calf's liver, beef, as well as spinach, collard greens, and broccoli. We also need all the minerals. So here's a list of, again, foods that you can get all of those different minerals from. You'll see, again, calf's liver, salmon, tuna, red meat, yogurt, milk, and also your leafy greens, some of your herbs like basil, spices like cinnamon, dark chocolate, avocados, pumpkin seeds, your cruciferous vegetables, mushrooms, lots of good sources of minerals in your diet. So other nutrients that we need to support our mitochondria are protein and fats. Remember, we talked about the fact that low protein diets and low fat diets will actually harm our mitochondria. So proteins are amino acids, and we typically know that we get amino acids from animals like meat, seafood, eggs, dairy products. We can also get amino acids from certain plants like nuts and seeds, legumes, our dark leafy greens and mushrooms. Asparagus, avocado, broccoli actually have some decent amounts of protein in them, and oats. In particular, we need the amino acids of methionine, taurine, and arginine to support mitochondria. Methionine we can get from eggs and all types of meat as well as dairy. We can also get it from legumes and soybeans. Taurine, mostly from seafood and dairy. And then arginine, in addition to getting it from animal products like turkey, pork, and chicken, we can get arginine from sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, mushrooms, even dark chocolate. And then a couple other protein or fat-related nutrients are collagen, which we get from meat or bone broth, DHA, EPA, which are omega-3s, typically come from our fatty fish like salmon, and then cholesterol. And yes, we do need cholesterol to support our mitochondria. One of the things, if you haven't done already, you might want to do is check out the presentation about eating clean, because it talks in detail about how to look for clean sources of all of these foods so that we're getting the highest quality foods to support our health. Then here is a list of some other nutrients that are important for mitochondria. You have quercetin, which is a natural anti-inflammatory, found in things like that are red colored mostly, your red onions, elderberries, blueberries, red grapes. Choline, chromium, chlorophyll, which is going to be found in a lot of your green vegetables and seaweed, algae, chlorella, spirulina. Resveratrol is an anti-inflammatory. Limonene, thiols, which are in garlic, onions, and your cruciferous vegetables. Electrolytes, those are those minerals that are specifically charged to help everything keep balanced between acid and alkaline. Lauric acid comes from coconut. Allicin is from garlic and onions. Beta-glucans are a special kind of polysaccharide that you can get from mushrooms. And fiber is extremely important. You're going to get that from all your whole fruits and vegetables and whole grains. Fiber is needed to help us detox. It scrapes all those bad uglies out of our system and helps us eliminate them. And then vitamin D, also important for your mitochondria. And the best way to get vitamin D is through sunshine. And we do have a whole presentation on vitamin D, so you might want to take a look at that if you haven't done that yet. So if we think that we have depressed or suppressed mitochondrial function, what's a way that we can build it up? We have some targeted therapies that we can use to do that. So the first one would be daily moderate activity or exercise. Not too much, not too little, but constant movement or daily movement helps in a lot of ways. Stimulates the cleanup of damaged cells, assists in mitochondrial recycling. It also helps us with detoxing. So it's pretty important to move on a daily basis. CoQ10 is an element or a compound that is particularly helpful to mitochondria. It's a rate-limiting compound of the energy cycle that produces ATP. We do produce CoQ10, but the levels that we produce tend to decline as we age. And then also statin medications, which specifically reduce the cholesterol that's available and needed to produce CoQ10. So statin medications are directly harmful to mitochondria. If you're on a statin, you definitely need to be taking a CoQ10 supplement as well. Acetyl L-carnitine assists with the transfer of long-chain fatty acids. Alpha-lipoic acid. So this is a coenzyme required for us to metabolize those macronutrients, our proteins, our fats, our carbohydrates. Also helps to recycle those antioxidants, vitamin C and vitamin E. Vitamin C is critical for glutathione for our detoxification and the alpha-lipoic acid pathways. Vitamin E, we talked about this as an antioxidant, maintains stability and structure of the mitochondrial membrane. If you're looking at a supplement for that, you want one with mixed tocopherols and not just alpha or gamma. N-acetylcysteine promotes production of glutathione, which we've talked about as being key for our detoxification. Magnesium is really important for our mitochondria. The best form is magnesium malate. That's also a key component of the energy cycle, and it helps us release energy from our foods. It's also a cofactor for enzymes, which are critical for those cellular processes. And then creatinine is another helpful supplement that might build mitochondrial function. It helps turn ATP, create ATP from ADP, and helps to prevent rapid depletion of ATP, which again is your cellular energy. So there are also lifestyle practices that we can do that help support our mitochondria production and function. So mitochondria need oxygen. So just something as simple as deep breathing for 5 to 10 minutes several times a day will help those mitochondria by giving them enough oxygen. Regular movement, which we talked about, it can be 10 or 15 minutes a day, but you want to work up to maybe getting 30 minutes of exercise at least 4 days per week. Again, doesn't have to be too high intensity, but it should be in the moderate category. Detoxification, let's get rid of all those toxins that build up in our bodies, the heavy metals, the medications, exposure to pesticides, insecticides, all of that stuff. So in addition to incorporating the foods and the practices that help our bodies detox, we should look at our environment around us and make sure that we can remove as many of those potential toxins from our environment as possible. So that reduces our exposure as well. And stress, which we talked about. So chronic stress and high levels of acute stress actually switch the mitochondria from the mode of making energy to a defense mode. And if they're not making energy, our cells aren't getting energy. So other factors that can switch mitochondria into defense mode include things like a lack of proper light, EMFs, we talked about that, from your electronics, poor immune function, and viral infections, and then poor diet habits. So in addition to being deficient in the nutrients we talked about that we need, if we eat inflammatory foods, if we cook our foods at really high temperatures, or we eat out of season, those things can all impact our mitochondria as well. Then a special type of therapy or tool that can support mitochondria is light. Humans need lots of different types of light, and they perform specific functions. And what we've found is that red light and near infrared light both act on the mitochondria. They stimulate the production of more ATP. They're able to penetrate deep into the body and actually reach the cells, and they affect a lot of different biochemical and cellular pathways. So some of the mechanisms and benefits are reduced inflammation and protecting cells from damage due to toxins, which those are two things that we know we've talked about actually damage or harm our mitochondria. All right, let's recap. Mitochondria are organelles within our cells, and they produce all of our cellular energy. Holistic medicine views mitochondrial dysfunction as the basis for chronic disease. Mitochondrial function is damaged by factors in our diet, our lifestyle, and our environment, but we have control of this, so we can alter our diet, our lifestyle, and environment to support our mitochondrial production and function. There are key supplements that we can use in addition to the basic nutrients to address low mitochondrial function. And mitochondrial function can be improved with red and NIR light therapy. Thank you for listening to the mitochondria presentation. I hope it inspired you to maybe go include some foods in your diet to help your mitochondria out, or to reduce some toxins, or maybe add some exercise or red light therapy into your weekly or daily routines. Let's support our mitochondria so that we can all have good health.